you look at something like SGR, it was not supposed to be financed by the government. In fact, even the contract is not supposed to be financed by it was not supposed to be financed by the government, because it is what we call the turnkey projects. I mean, turnkey contracts. Turnkey contracts. Turnkey contracts are the public-private partnership type of project. It's only that fraud came in, and then the government now they shifted the liability, their own liability, to the government. But essentially, it was a PPP. There is no law internationally which condones fraud. Is there? I think we have lawyers here. Is there any law which condones fraud?
So let me ask you, in terms of fraud, how would you, what would you charge to just demonstrate?
Justify.
This is fraudulent, and this is four things, or?
Let me give you an example of that SGR.
Yes.
SGR was the loan was based on a fraudulent contract, an non-existent contract. There was no contract. Yes.
There was no contract.
There was no contract.
So meaning we can wake up and chase those guys and don't pay that money.
There was no. That's the reason why you find they have gone even to the Court of Appeal. Where are the contract documents? Hakuna. Isn't it? Yet you see in that loan they are quoting a contract between Kenya Railway Corporation and China Roads and Bridges. So you, as the reader, which is this contract you are basing your loan on? Am I making sense?
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. What you are going to do is fraud investigation must be done and establish those kind of things. You read us for SGR, and you are saying you are quoting in your own agreement that it is based on a contract called turnkey commercial contract to lead us, and we are capable of showing there is no such kind of a contract which was there, because in our books we don't have a contract called turnkey commercial contract. Because here you are combining two types of contracts for fraudulent purpose. When you have a turnkey contract, the contractor is the borrower of the money. You use your money to construct or to develop the railway, whether you borrow or not, to completion, and then you recoup your investment from the revenue to be earned by that project. So there's nowhere Kenya taxpayer can be used. And when you are doing the turnkey contract, it is...
So are you saying that this thing should have been a PPP?
Yes. It was a PPP.
So there was no reason for a loan to be involved in the middle?
If there was a loan, it is the contractor who should deal.
Should have taken a loan.
Yes, yes.
And paid himself, because he's going to recoup this money anyway from running this project.
Do you hear the SGR started Kibake's time?
Exactly.
It was that. And that is the reason why, even though it was not in the Vision 2030, it was brought forward because the Kenyan government, the Kenyans were not to, Kenyan taxes were not to be used.
Okay.
Are we together? They were not to be used. So that during Kibaki's time, they started that turnkey. When these fellas came, it was rushed. Now, in fact, there's a letter. There's a letter I got from the report by PIC concerning SGR, where the
PIC is what?
Parliamentary Investment Committee, where the China Roads and Bridges had written and said that they want to construct an electric train from Mombasa to Nairobi using their own equity. Equity means their own money. That is what you call fraud investigation, you know? Now, in there, the financial secretary, treasury, wrote to the ambassador of China asking to be given a loan called Preferential Buyer Credit Loan. I wish to tell you that if it is a turnkey contract.
Excuse me. Does it mean that even expressway, there's no difference between expressway and SGR?
Yes.
In that case?
Yes.
Because expressway actually is a PPP.
Yes.
And that's why they have a contract for 30 years. After 30 years, they're done. They've got their money, and our taxes should not be touched.
Yes. Yes. But you see, there are also some problems there. But then let me tell you, PPP are the concept of PPP is very good in development of any country. But in Kenya, they are no PPPs. They are fraud schemes.
You know where you left to?
I have to.
Preferential buyer
Credit. Yes.
So, wait. we want to go slowly.
Yeah.
Now, the China Bridge Railways,
Corporation,
China Road and Bridge.
China Roads and Bridges Corporation
Yes.
writes a letter to the Kenya government
Yes.
saying that they are willing to do an electric train
Using their own equity.
using their own money.
They're using their own money.
Now, we received this letter,
Yes.
and then instead of accepting that offer,
Yes.
we write another letter
Yes.
from now us,
Yes.
and telling them, no, you give us a loan,
Yes.
which is a preferential buyer credit loan.
Yes.
So we have refused what the offer.
Yes.
Now, with the free offer,
Yes.
we are asking for a loan instead.
Yes.
Okay.
Proceed.
Now we proceed.
The preferential buyer credit, from the fraud perspective, that is a fraud scheme. Why is it a fraud scheme? Look at the word, the first word. It means what? Yeah?
For your choice.
Preferred. You are being preferred. Instead of giving Tanzania, we are giving you preference. Isn't it? The word buyer credit. Buyer credit is a facility. You are given a facility. You know, like the overdraft. So we are being told we are giving you an export credit. It's normally used by importers. You know, and it is actually, that loan is supposed to assist the exporters of that country. So what for example, the Exim Bank now did buyer credit. They will tell you that we are giving you a buyer credit over, let's say, 300 billion for importation of goods and services. You have that credit there. So any consignment by the exporter, he is paid. You know, equivalent of that. You know what how the overdraft is managed, isn't it?
Yes.
Exactly that way. Any consignment, it will be paid from there. Normally it is to assist their exporters, because now it is better for them rather than selling on credit, because you may not be able to pay. Now you have been given that facility to pay for that consignment. The good thing with that one is that interest is paid on the amount paid on drawdown. Good. On drawdown. What has been drawn down is what the interest will be, not for the whole of it. The third part is loan. See, it's calling buyer.
Let me speak in a layman's language, so that people may understand, because now we are speaking money speak, and sometimes money speak is a bit not very good for lay people. I am a CEO, so I speak that language, so I understand it very well. But this is how. Now, when you take a facility in any bank, and when you take a loan in a bank, there are two different things. So when you take a facility, what it means is that that money does not come to you. What it means is that they will pay the supplier directly. So you take 1 million shillings from as a facility in a bank. They take you tell them pay X.
The hardware.
Yeah, hardware, 200,000. They will pay the hardware 200,000. Now you have not taken 1 million yet. You have only taken 200,000. So the interest rate, the interest you start paying is for only 200,000. You don't pay interest for 800,000 for the whole 1 million. You're only paying for 200,000. That's when you take a facility. Now every time you draw, so that's why the word drawdown comes. When you draw, you are drawing down the amount that you had agreed on. So as you draw down, the interest is pegged on what you have just drawn down only. But when you take a loan, you are given all the money. You take you have agreed 1 million, they take 1 million and they give it to you. Sure. So it's all of it, Shika. Now you are the one who decides how you are going to pay your suppliers. Now the difference with that one is that immediately you take 1 million, the interest rate is on 1 million. So you start paying interest on 1 million. So that is the first difference you must understand between the facility and a loan. Now it's telling you that we are doing a buyer credit. That part alone is a facility. It means that the buyer who is buying, who is now the contractor, is going to be buying things from a certain place. They have been given a credit, which is a facility. So whatever they buy, it is drawn down. They buy, it's drawn down. But now these people have done a funny thing in the middle. They are saying they have a facility. Again, they have a loan. So which one is which?
Exactly. That's why I've told you that is a fraud scheme. Because what happens is now, Preferential Buyer Credit Loan. Which means, at the part of the loan, you will be given everything. So what these fellas do, they calculate interest on the whole. You are losing on 2 or 4 folds. One, the SGR was $5 billion US. So if it was a loan, all those foreign exchange would have been brought to the central bank. Can you imagine?
The $5 billion. Yeah, all $5 billion would have come to the consolidated bank.
If it was a loan. Now they have retained the 5. You see? You are losing on interest. You're also losing on the gain of foreign exchange. The other thing is, when it is a buyer credit, the contractor is procured by them. They decide, the contractor, not you. So your procurement law is never considered.
That means even things like cement.
Yeah.
So SGR was
Yeah.
built by China. Everything.
Yes.
They imported, actually they
Yes. Here,
imported everything here.
when you go to our budget books, they call it appropriation in aid loan.
Appropriation?
In aid loan.
That's another thing.
Appropriation in aid loan. Now it operates on those principles. More money coming here, the contract is procured by them. You see?
Them is who?
I'm talking about the Chinese now. We don't use our laws to procure.
Okay.
So you see now, with the moment you a buyer, credit.
Also,
You see now, those people,
our
it's telling you, I'm
can-
going to give you this thing, but I'm going to be the one to decide who the contractor is.
under our terms, under their terms.
Under our own terms.
Is
Procurement laws, I'm going to buy these things, I'm not going to follow your laws. I'm going to follow mine, because I'm the one buying. So all of a sudden he has removed the Kenyan laws of procurement. So he's going to publish nothing, he's going to do nothing, because he's buying these things from wherever he is.
because one thing is this: assuming you have a local contractor, how will you be paid? And that money is supposed to be paid to the contractor there. So it must be a contractor from. You see?
Excuse me.
So, Mushere, another front where Kenya lost money, where it lost an opportunity,
Yes.
then it was on killing local jobs.
Yes, and your goods.
Suppliers too.
Yes.
Oh, your
Because
goods.
cement, we could have bought it from
Yes.
Mombasa Cement
Yes.
or Bamburi,
Yes.
create jobs around that.
Yes.
Exactly.
Now the cement, it is them to decide where to buy.
Yes. So anytime you see an appropriation in loan, please run away.
And even the pricing, they decide on the price you're buying. That's
In a loan.
Run away.
You run away because
I wanted to ask a very mini question on this PBCL, Preferential Buyer Credit Loans, that makes it facility, right? This is the case. After the completion of the project, who controls the project? Because I'm seeing the Chinese are still controlling SGR. Actually, there's a monitor, a headquarter in China, where they monitor all the funds they get.
Because-
So I don't know.
because it was a PPP. A PPP,
So it was not even a facility. It was a PPP.
you are mixing contracts and the loan.
Okay.
Yes, don't mix the two.
Okay.
Because you see, being a PPP contract, it is a private contract. Eh?
Okay.
Yes. So now they are supposed to operate so that they can recoup their revenue. Yeah. So now when you look at the whole of it, you see now the fraud in the loan agreement, isn't it? Then you look at the fraud in the contract, isn't it? Because now you find when it is a turnkey contract, the contractor engages in the feasibility studies, does this design, the architectural drawings, does the BQs. When you do those two documents, you are the one who determines the contract sum. You see?
You're the one who determines?
The contract sum.
The contract sum. The contract sum is determined by the architectural drawings and the BQs. And then because in the BQs you are going to fill the price. Now, you see? So, what happens is this. Because they know it's a fraud scheme, they will decide a project and come out with the BQs and inflate the contract sum. That is what happened with the SGR. Because of fraud scheme, they know that the loan will be based on the contract sum. So they will inflate the contract sum. That's the reason we found that Tanzania and electric train, they constructed at 190 billion. You see? While we are constructing at 500 billion. So now, if you look at the whole thing is this. They have inflated the contract sum. They have inflated the contract sum to about 500 billion Kenya shillings. So the loan is given based on the contract sum. You see? And the fact that that money, the whole of the loan will not be paid here, then they come up with a condition in the loan.
No, wait, before you go to the condition in the loan, first of all, you are saying that this turnkey agreement, first of all, is unlawful.
Yeah?
It's unlawful in our laws.
It is in our laws, but it's a turnkey. But you can see now, it is called turnkey commercial contract.
Yes.
These are two contracts combined together.
Oh. So this.
We don't have that kind of a contract.
What do we
in our
have?
laws. We have turnkey and we have commercial contract.
Okay. So they have mixed this
Yes.
to become a fraud now.
Yes, because now what they are doing is this. Commercial contract,
Yes.
the BQs and the designs and all of you is done by the government.
Oh.
You see? So they are going to design what you can afford, isn't it?
Yes.
They are going to do, in your commercial contract, you are going to design what you can afford, and then call for tenders and what have you, because you are designing what you can afford. The turnkey, when it is done properly, the contractor will also design what he can afford, and he will do feasibility study to know whether it is viable.
Okay.
Isn't it? Because we look at it now, SGR is not viable. Who did the feasibility studies? The China Roads and Bridges.
Yes.
Isn't it? But because he knew the fraud is committing, he did a shoddy feasibility studies and inflating the contract, knowing that he is going to
Make
shift
money from the other side.
the whole thing to, I don't know that I'm making.
Yes.
Yes. You see? That's why I'm saying you look at it from the fraud perspective, you're able to understand the whole thing.
Okay.
You see? Now, that's why now I'm telling you, when you look at now the name, what is the name is very, very important. You look at the loan, what they are calling it, Preferential Buyer Credit Loan. This one they are calling it turnkey commercial contract.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, you see now, the preferential now, they were inciting you to go for the loan quickly,
Yes.
and you don't even look at the conditions which are there. The word preferential, that is what it's trying to, that we can give Uganda or Tanzania if you don't come quickly. Yeah?
I was asking, this is the same thing the Chinese are doing at the moment, which the Americans have been doing through their corporations, where they bring shoddy feasibility studies and they give you a loan, but the loan, they tell you that perhaps this standard gauge railway is going to raise the standards of living in your country based on per capita income, based on their project that they will do, but they are doing the feasibility study. And then once they do it, they give you a loan. But the loan never comes to you because they give money to their contractors. So the money, they give you a loan after they've inflated the contract, and then they give the work to their own contractors in their countries. So the money never gets there. You get a shoddy project done, and then you get stuck with a very huge loan that you are expected to pay, that if you had raised that money, perhaps you'd spend half of it to do the same project. So is the main goal of this control? Because according to where I've gotten this information from, it was meant for control. In this book by John Perkins, Economic Confessions of an Economic Hitman, how they use large corporations to control small corporations. And once I have inflated those loans, I have stuck you with a very large loan, but the money has gone back to my country. Now you can't pay for it. Now I'll come back later and tell you, if you can't pay this perhaps 100 billion, let me build a military base in your country. Number two, maybe perhaps privatize these corporations and sell them to me. Or raise your taxes to a certain amount. And you're unable to say no because you can't pay these people back.
Those are the
just so that you can also answer them together, since you also might be able to look at it. When CRBC had written the first time about, was it to upgrade the existing infrastructure where we have the old railway line, which would have been cheaper to say just upgrade, or it was a whole new railway?
They were to construct an electric train.
New,
yeah.
Okay.
What you are saying is actually what is happening, and those are the yeah, and that is the intention. That is what they are doing. Even right now, today, we are slaves of the debts because of that. I think have I cleared that? Because we may come back to it. You know?
Yeah, you had two. If you had 3 and 4, amazing. But that could be sufficient for now. That was good.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I said, you see now what he is talking about is the A&A loan. Eh?
Yes.
In another way, he's talking about the A&A loan. And this A&A loan, they are actually meant for marketing their own products. Their own products.
You're saying we have a turnkey agreement where we agree that this corporation will come, do a feasibility study, do all the BQs and architectural drawings themselves.
Construct.
They will do. What will they do? Will they'll come and in a turnkey agreement?
Turnkey.
What happens?
The word turnkey.
Yes.
Turnkey.
Yes.
Kifunguo.
Yes. Fungua.
Turnkey.
Yes.
Once you are given the contract to the contractor,
yes,
it's actually called EPC, engineering, procurement, and construction.
Engineering.
Contract. Contractor. Once you are giving that contract, he will only come and give you the key.
Kazi maliza.
Turn on.
Okay.
You get me? Engineering, procurement, and construction. Yes. Contractor.
Okay. So he does not do feasibility study.
He's going to do everything.
So he does the feasibility study.
Yes.
He does the BQ.
Procurement is procuring.
He procures, constructs, and then he gives you the key.
Give you the key. That's why it is called turnkey. You turn the key in a groomer.
Okay.
Isn't it?
Now, when we have this situation where you have given, it's like you've given everything to this person.
Yes.
What are what kind of contract then do you enter with them?
So you are entering the turnkey contract.
So you do give them money? Do they give you? They just use their own money to do
They
everything?
use their own money. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
And that's the reason why that the CRBC had said that they are going to use their equity, their own
Then
money.
how do they recoup now?
There is what you call the financing model. In that one, you have agreed the financing model.
Okay.
And note that even when he is doing the feasibility study and everything, the government is actually approving everything.
Okay.
You see, so that he should not exaggerate, so that they may take him. The financing model, the which are known, is that after he has a name, you agree with their financing model.
Yes.
Will he recoup his investment from the revenue, or the revenue?
Okay.
Or will he recoup his investment with part of the revenue generated there? Those are the kind of agreement, because he has to return
His money.
is after completion. Before you enter into the turnkey
Yes.
project,
Yes.
you have agreed these are the financing model. But the only financing model is that money should come from the revenue generated by
the project.
Yes. So when he is designing, he knows that very well he will recoup his money from, and if the project is not viable,
Yes.
he will not agree.
Okay. And do they put in, during the financing model agreement, do they agree on a certain percentage interest on the amount they're putting, right?
Interest what? On what?
On the amount they're putting. If, like, for example, if they spent 100 million, and in 10 years is when they're supposed to be recouping this 100 million, they'll definitely want to put in a markup.
Of course, they have to put their markup.
Okay.
They're not doing for nothing.
Exactly.
So that now that is the time you calculate how many years is he going to operate. Normally, which is becomes from 20 to 30.
That explains the reason behind an inland port in Naivasha, whereby people are forced to ferry their cargo to Mombasa so that the viability be increased. Or
Yeah, but you see now, you see when you are doing feasibility studies, you look at everything, isn't it? And you are not being forced. You are not being forced. You want to invest, isn't it? And you have money to invest. So in your feasibility studies, you look at everything. Yeah? You cannot say that all the goods should be taken to Naivasha. No. Those are wrong agreements, because you have to look at how will I earn from this investment.
I'm interrogating the laws, if there are any, because it is not only China Roads and Bridge that could probably have been able to undertake the SGR. Maybe there is a France corporation, maybe there's an American corporation that could probably have been able to is there a situation of quotes, so that then we see what your offer is and what the other person's offer is, and then so we are taking the most affordable or the most friendly, or this is just that China have come, they have said this, and then we have nowhere to peer check ourselves in terms of the price for doing a similar project.
It's provided for in the Public-Private Partnership Act.
So did that happen here?
It did not. We operated outside the law, because the law is very clear. The contract is the process is undertaking like any other.
Okay.
There is the tendering. You see?
Of that intention.
There is. You know, there are several. There are individual. Like now, what Ojigi tells us is that they had initiated, and if you initiate even if you are an individual, it must be approved by the PPP committee, the Public-Private Partnership Committee, which is headed by the PS Treasury. It's a committee and a technical part there, and the Act provides for the process, advertisement. There's like any other normal contract. That is the reason why you find now this is a banned thing. when I hear what they are talking, I feel very bad, because every contract, public contract, whether PPP, must follow the law. They should have advertised. Or anybody who is able to do that work should be a bidder. Considered a bidder. You process the procurement, the tenders, like any other, and it's provided very clearly under the Public-Private Partnership Act. So it is not something you just wake up, it is there. And that's why I say any contract which is not or comply with the provisions of the public procurement laws is not a public contract. Is
about the turnkey contract. Like you explained, it's about the contracted company to give the contracting company a working project, or like something that was already being developed. So my question is, when it comes to management of the said project or the said whatever that has been developed, is that included in the turnkey contract, or it's a whole other aspect that needs to be discussed and handled separately from the turnkey? And then you've mentioned the there's an act, the PPP Act. There's an act. Yeah. Does it have any statement or anything allowing for the existence of an open data portal, so that any activity that is being presented to be that is put up for tendering, and all the people who are applying to be given these contracts and all the engagements that happen can be accessed by anybody in public at whatever time, and it is regularly updated? Or how do I as a Kenyan citizen go about getting this information, ensuring that as a citizen I'm satisfied what is happening in this contract or what is happening in this field is something that is serving me as a Kenyan citizen, and does it allow for my input?
In the Act, this is a public contract. It's a public project. In the contract, it is supposed to be advertised.
It's supposed to be where?
Advertised.
Yes, advertised. The tender must be advertised. Yes, publicly. And the contracting authority must avail all the information in their portal, in the published. That is the law. That is what the public procurement law says. And advertised into widely read 3 newspapers. If you go to their portal, if they are joining, like now airport, you should be getting everything there. But because it's a fraud scheme, they hide. Yeah. If you see that act, it prescribes every step, and every step must be in the public knowledge, public domain, so that you are capable of querying. And that's the reason why I was able to do an audit by downloading the financial statement for Kenya Railway Corporation, although we may not get all of them because some of them are not there. I was supposed to get the contract document from the Public Procurement Regulatory Authority portal. The law requires the Public Procurement Regulatory Authority to publish all the procurement proceedings for any contract. So this contract, even this you say urban and what have you, they are supposed to be in the portal, a Public Procurement Regulatory Authority. But because they are also roped in, you see, they don't do what the Act requires them of doing. I have seen people going to court. They should also take the Public Procurement Regulatory Authority to court because they are defying the law on publishing the